Enter the amount your parents paid in taxes for 2010. We're going to say $7,500. So you paid about 10%. Parents' exemptions for 2010, effect, most of the time this is going to be how many are in your household. So we'll enter 5. You can take that right off of your 1040. And if you notice over here in the helpful hints, it's providing you where you should be looking for some of this information on your 1040 forms. That can be a big help. Also, if you're doing the paper form, it is going to give you the question here that this corresponds to on the paper form. Additional financial information, it's looking here for, did you have any of these other financial events within the previous tax year? Did you take an American Opportunity, Hope, or Lifetime Learning tax credits? If you click on any of these boxes, it will open up another box where you can insert the information. Did you pay child support? Click on that. It's going to ask how much child support you paid. Taxable earnings from work study, assistance, and fellowships. Click on that. You'd be able to enter that information in. So you can go down through and customize any information here that you want to add in. Most often, the pieces that are going to be customized are going to be down here where it's talking about untaxed income, and those are going to most often be payments to tax-deferred pension and savings plans. This will be 401ks, 403bs. Typically, those are the 2 most common tax-deferred pension and savings plans. Going to be down. You'll find them on your W-2 in box 12. So in this instance, we'll say that $5,000 went to a 401k. IRA deductions, if you made any contributions to an IRA, a traditional IRA, SEP, Simple, or Keogh plan, those are typically on the bottom section of the first page of your 1040. In this instance, we'll say that you made $1,000, deposited $1,000 into an IRA. Child support received, tax-exempt interest income, untaxed portions of IRA distributions. If you took any money out of an IRA, you can report it here. And as well, you can see here the other items that can be added in. Check back over for any questions. What about payment taken out of your pay before taxes to pay health insurance? No, that would not necessarily be added into these numbers. What is taken out to pay for health insurance, or what is taken out to pay for a traditional pension program, not 401k, 403b, a traditional pension program, those would not be added back in. As of today, does the total amount of your parents' current assets exceed $41,900? What this is asking here is when you come down here and you click on yes, it is going to open up the boxes for the asset questions. And it's going to ask you how much money is in your cash and savings, how much is in your investments, stocks, bonds, investment real estate, worth of your net worth of current businesses and or investment farms. $41,900 for this age of parent is what is called their asset protection allowance. That means anything under $41,900 is not going to be computed into your expected family contribution and therefore not have a bearing on how much financial aid is going to be available to you. Anything over $41,900 will be computed towards the parent's expected family contribution. So in this example, as of today, does the total amount of your parents' current assets exceed $41,900? If we answer no, then it's just not going to ask you about what you have. That's a big improvement compared to the previous form. If you answer yes, it's going to ask you about these 3 areas. We'll say you've got $15,000 in cash and savings, $30,000 in stocks and bonds, and you do not have anything in a business. Now, even though you don't have anything in a business, if you have an open box here looking for a number, you have to at least stick a 0 in it, because if you don't, let's say we leave that blank and you hit the next button. Oh, you just created an error. You didn't give us information we're looking for. So you want to come down here. It's going to highlight to you where the error is and simply put in a 0. For 2012, back to the student. Notice we got the change in the bar here and the change in the colors. Did your student complete an IRS tax return? This student wasn't really making money, maybe babysitting, lawn mowing, that type of stuff, so they didn't have a tax return to file. We're going to say not going to file return in this instance, and you hit next, and it's going to ask you for the student financial information. How much did your student earn from working wages in 2010? Again, they didn't really earn anything, so we'll hit next. Oh, what happened? Well, it's looking for information. Make certain we give it at least a 0. Do you have any of the following items in 2010? They check all that apply. Child support paid, untaxed income. It's going to ask you the same questions that it did for the parents. Now, you notice down here on the child's information, it doesn't even give us the option of saying yes or no on an asset protection allowance because the student has no asset protection allowance. So as soon as they have $1 in their name, it's going to be counted towards their expected family contribution. But in this instance, we're going to say they have $1,000, not 10, $1,000 in their checking account or their savings account. Net worth of investments, we'll say 0. As of today, net worth of their business, lawn mowing, you know, there really is no net worth of the business there unless you want to figure out how much that 10-year-old lawnmower is in your garage is worth. I don't recommend you do that. It doesn't really make a difference. So the kid's got $1,000. We hit next. Oh, I missed the selective service question here somewhere. Now this is a bit of an interesting situation here. They don't give us the headers to jump back to where that question is. So I'm going to risk actually using the back button. And you'll notice, frankly, we've got a problem here because they never asked us on the selective service information. So let's see if we can find that. Is it back at student demographics? Ha! Well, we just discovered another bug in the system here. Now that's not always fun when we do that, but see if we can't find some way to get out of this so we can finish on to the rest of this information. Well, unfortunately, as you can see, their new system isn't necessarily completely bug-free. What would have happened is there should have been a question earlier in here, since I had indicated that this was a male student, that there should have been a question that came up, is the student registered with selective service? And at that point in time, you would have indicated whether yes or no, and it would have asked you, do you want the system to register the student if you had indicated that they were not registered yet. Unfortunately, through this process, we found a bug in the FAFSA system, which just happens sometimes. In that case, you would want to back out of this, relog back in, and then go over it. But for time's sake, we're not going to do that. It's just good that you had an opportunity to see on here that, yes, we do sometimes run into bugs in the system. Now, what would happen is when we got down here to the end of this, you'll go to the next page, and it would bring up a page confirming the information that you had listed. And what you would want to do is you would want to go to View FAFSA Summary, and that FAFSA Summary, when you brought that up, would look like this. These areas in red here are notes that I have added to this on this PDF, but it would bring up a summary that you would then be able to print out with all the pertinent information about the filing that you have here for your student. And you want to stick this away and hold on to it. It's just unfortunate that we weren't able to finish out the demonstration here. But as I've mentioned before, what you would want to do in a situation like that is you want to log out of the system, log back into the system, and then that should clear the error issue. I really haven't seen too many instances where logging out and then logging back into the FAFSA system wouldn't clear those errors. Let me take a look here again at any other questions. What if the real estate asset is underwater? If you owe more on the real estate than what the real estate is worth, then your real estate has zero net value. So do not claim. You only want to claim what kind of equity you have in any asset. If you have multiple real estate that you have 3 different pieces of property, what you would do is you would report the net equity in all those 3 different pieces of property. So if one was you had 10,000 equity in it, another you had 20,000 equity in it, and another you had negative 10,000 equity in it, you add all that up, you're going to come up with $20,000, and that's what you would report. If you had a negative net equity across the board, then it's just going to be 0. That's all you report. Also, when you're talking about real estate, keep in mind it's talking about real estate other than your primary residence. Primary residence does not count. The house that you live in, you do not have to report. If you live on a family farm, you do not have to report the family farm. If you have bought farmland and are renting it out to somebody else to farm, that is considered an asset, and that you need to report. Do we have any other questions? Well, if not, then I'd like to thank you very much for participating in the presentation today. Unfortunate that we had that error on the FAFSA system, but it does give you a little bit of an idea of some of the headaches you can encounter when you're dealing with that. If you have any other questions, please feel free to use the question button, which is available on the EDU Launchpad website. And we do like answering your questions. If you go down here to contact us and you have any questions, just feel free to use the question form over here in the Contact Us on the Contact Us page. Here we have another question. My child was in a work study last year. What do I have to report on the work study? You're going to receive a income statement off of that work study job just as you would if the student had any other part-time job while they were in college. That does go to what they're going to be paying taxes on. However, the line item in the FAFSA where it has report the work study income, you put that in there, and that backs that work study income back out of the calculations for EFC. So what happens is if your student earned $1,500 in work study income, you're still going to report that to the IRS, and they may be filing taxes on that if they qualify, if they have enough income otherwise. But that $1,500 is not going to hurt them on their EFC calculations, because when you put that into the FAFSA system, it's just going to pull that back out of the student's earned income. That appears to be the last question that we have today. Thank you all very much. I do appreciate that you joined us for the presentation today. I hope you found this to be very helpful. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to peruse edulaunchpad.com and drop us a note if we can help you in any way. So thank you all very much for joining us, and I hope you found this helpful. Goodbye.